are you? Oh,
Hey,
Dr. B
Dean, I'm
manages to
good.
come in right at the second mark. Look at that.
He does that.
I just came from the garage.
He had to pour himself a drink first.
Mhm.
So what are we looking at today? Like suggested topic was using social media for prospecting. Like not even for closing, just for prospecting.
Just
right?
prospecting?
Just in case anyone else has never. I mean, we talked about before. I think we talked about last week on a Thursday when we went through the various slides for that show that I was putting together, that talk I was putting together. And if you remember, it had like 3 blocks. I'll try to bring it up while one of you starts talking. It had 3 blocks for like the process, right? And the bottom one was the announcement. Basically, I exist, and everyone else is saying, I also exist, I exist too, right?
Yeah.
And that's like outbound, and in a marketing context, that is advertising, and in a sales context, that's called prospecting, right? Ideally, with sales, you're putting a little more thought into it before you actually reach out to somebody. And then the middle box was the connection. So the announcement, the connection, which means one of 2 things: either we're in the same group, or I'm in. I fill the box where if you think of X, you should think of me.
Right.
And then the last was the shared imperative, like let's get you from a negative present into a positive future. I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to help you get it. For the Zig Ziglar fans,
Peter did.
Help you get it.
For your Larry the Cable Guy fans.
Right.
Exactly.
And so from a sales point of view, because you don't see a lot of advertising type announcement, you don't get a lot of, hey, we exist, or this product does X on LinkedIn, for instance. You normally get, hey, my name is so-and-so, and they may or may not lie about looking at your profile. Chances are like they didn't, a machine did. And it's kind of like such and such. There's a book called New Sales Simplified, and the problem with a book that becomes popular is that everyone apes the template. And so over and over and over, like in my LinkedIn inbox, it's like companies reach out to us when they want to do X, Y, and Z, and they have A, B, and C problems. Like that's literally the template. Everyone follows it almost to the point where you no longer stand out just by virtue of the fact that you're formulaic instead of using a formula. I mean, the author of the book never intended for everybody, I'm sure, to say the exact same thing, right? He provided a formula, but then most people don't understand like what the formula is doing. They just carbon copy it and plug in their own values, and now it's formulaic, right? Everyone knows how to use a phone. Far fewer people know how a phone works.
True.
Right.
Although John has his case with a sort of like an X-ray view of the phone's inner workings, which I think is pretty hilarious.
Oh, that's handy.
That's what it looks like inside your iPhone. My son got that.
What are your like top 2 or 3 tips for people who want to start prospecting, either on the advertising end, where you haven't even directly identified the people that are going to see your message, or on the prospecting end, where you have identified the people who are going to see your message?
This will be fun. We get to see if we agree.
Yeah.
I will agree to disagree. Probably. Here we go.
Right, here we go. I'll start. There's a huge change right now in social media, obviously to more video, and more short video specifically. And we've been talking a lot about that. We're seeing a lot more ads coming out on Reels.
And TikTok. TikTok's a huge ad.
And TikTok is a huge ad base right now. And so I think what you're going to see in social media over time, and then we'll kind of go to the end result and then kind of backtrack a little bit. But I think what you're going to see is people are going to be more focused. They're not just going to put out anything stuff. You're not going to just see your everyday kind of generic memes. I think it's going to become more focused. Personally, I don't know. You agree with that?
Focused in what respect? I mean, I think the whole thing about social media is essentially remembering its social element. Yeah. And so if you and I see so many businesses trying to sell. on their Facebook pages, on Instagram, and everything else.
That's a good
There's
point.
nothing wrong with having a call to action, but I think the call to action needs to be more about establishing a relationship, learning more, follow me, that type of thing. And I always come back to something I learned like more than a decade ago, which was social media. You need to think of social media as a party. And if you're going to go to a party, you're going to create conversations and build relationships. And maybe after the party's over, you may connect with them elsewhere, like come out for coffee or maybe, you know, have lunch or something like that. And so the social element is often ignored by businesses and other professionals because they're trying to go straight for the jugular and make the sale. And it doesn't work.
And it doesn't work. And so what
I mean, that's kind of a time frame issue though, right? I mean, I've been putting together this sort of like prospecting guide, based on the successes and failures that we and clients have had over the years, right? And I ended up thinking about the difference between content marketing and like direct pitching. And the thing is, like, you'll have a process. You're going to identify who you're going to try to talk to on social media or whatever, right? And then either as a sort of like a persona, not an individual, or like, you know, narrow down more than that. And you've got this sort of sales funnel. And if for any reason you can't move someone from like whatever step 2 to step 3, then or let's put it this way, you will move some small percentage of people from step 2 to step 3. Let's say that's 10%. The other 90% are dumped.
Or they're placed on hold because maybe it's not at this time. You may come back to them in the future.
Yeah, but most people don't come back to them.
Well, that's their problem.
They just find new people to reach out to, right? As opposed to the ones they've already reached out to.
They saw the same thing in chiropractic
And I'm not talking about people who push back and say like, you know, this is not for me, no thanks. I mean the people who don't reply at all.
You see the same thing in the healthcare world, which is, you know, there's a lot of their chiropractors, dentists, medical doctors whom I know, they're obsessed with new patients, just like new customers. And they don't really treat the existing clients that well. So they're on this constant hamster wheel of having to get more people coming in the door. When in reality, if they were able to just market and upsell and work the existing base of clients or patients, they would do things far more economically. And I see the same
or at
thing.
Least the dormant group. I mean, if you split customers into active and dormant customers.
We call them reactivations.
They don't even bother to go after the dormant ones. They just go after brand new ones.
We used to call it reactivation. So they were in there and then you just want to reactivate them. And that was always just a phone call, by the way, too. Never underestimate the power of a phone call.
No, it doesn't take much. And the idea is really for them to just see more of you and for your communication with them to become more personalized. Joshua Penner just put up a note here. From my perch, social media equals engagement media. It totally is that way. You know, that's really the first place we're going to engage with people.
We need, and engagement is nothing more than conversations.
Exactly.
I mean, ultimately to create the conversation. And there's a big difference between when you're prospecting or hoping to create prospects between people giving little emojis, like maybe they do a like or a love, or, you know, on LinkedIn, I see things like support and these other type of emotional reactions versus a comment versus actually, hey, hit me up in the DMs or a private message, or let's set up a time to talk. And I think getting to that point where you set up a time to talk and have a genuine conversation, that's your ultimate goal in social media. But it does take time. I mean, you know, you've given the example over and over and over again. You know, you're not going to go out to coffee on the first date and say, hey, let's get married today.
Right. We see too many people who try to microwave the process and just kind of
no kidding.
And say, hey, Dean, buy my stuff. And that doesn't work. It's
you know my name. Why won't you buy from me?
Yeah, I mean, it's not social. It's not conversational. You're not
it's
making
not the
friends
whole,
with somebody.
It's not the whole
jackass.
It's not the whole no like and trust, which I really believe is the no love and trust, because you've got to establish a lot more resonance nowadays than just have somebody like you. They have to create this emotional attachment, which can come through genuine conversations and connecting sincerely with people, as opposed to just trying to use a few tactics or techniques in order to, get somebody to buy from you.
Yeah, I don't know who started this whole process of, let me pitch you on social media the very first time I meet you or see you.
LinkedIn, baby. I mean, I saw that so much on LinkedIn, and then now I see it on Facebook, where people are deliberately befriending me. I look at their profiles like, you're going to pitch me. I know you're going to pitch me.
I know.
But I'm going to accept you. I'm going to accept you, and if you pitch me right off the start, I'm going to say to you, maybe you need to change your approach and get to know people before you pitch them.
See,
but you just delete them or block them. So.
Well, I already know. Like if I see somebody that sells solo ads, I already know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people like that. If I see somebody who does websites and mobile apps and that kind of thing, I know immediately where they're coming from. I usually just don't take any action.
Every once in a while, I get someone who is in the same sort of internet marketing, digital marketing area, and we share maybe like 125 friends.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, this might work out, and sure enough, it does work out. But they are few and far between.
Well, you're doing better than me.
So you guys don't have I have an everyone on LinkedIn has experienced. I was talking yesterday to a group.
Hang on, I gotta get the dog in the house.
And
be right back.
Dogs are welcome.
A second.
And we talked about they're one of the people they were reaching out to are CROs, which is like the new. It's sort of the you know what a CRO is? It's like the chief revenue officer. Used to be called head of sales.
Yeah.
Right. So we were talking about how like you always have to remember what context people are in when they're receiving or even seeing your message. Right. If you have marketing anywhere on your LinkedIn profile, you are continually spammed by lead generation companies.
Yeah.
Like you can count on it. There's not a single person that's ever going to watch this video or a single person on LinkedIn who has marketing, who hasn't been hard pitched, like instant pitched by a lead generation company. And I told them, as bad as you think that is in marketing, it's way worse if you're in sales. You're getting way more of those, and you're getting a lot of sales training kind of pitches and stuff. I have a default response that with like a little keyboard shortcut that I use. I love my sheet, right? For all those folks, like basically they come into this, right? And it says, hi, this is like my first, this is my first response to them because they usually pitch me as soon as they get the connection acceptance, right? And it's just automated. Basically it says, hi, I accept all invitations to connect on principle. Maybe someday in the future, it'll be the right time to talk, but probably not right now.
Yeah. I do kind of.
They all get that. And like everyone is like pretty super cool about it.
That's actually really good. I like that phrasing. And I mean,
because who knows? Maybe they connect to me and I've got a decent size 6,000 plus people network on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe, or if nothing else, anyone who connects to me can then send a connection request to at least 6,000 people.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, that might be all that they need. That's more than I don't even have to be involved in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's interesting. Yeah. Because that does help a lot when you start getting into the first level connection. And it does seem to blossom. I'll tell you though, it's interesting because in social media, the pitch that I get the most often now, and I see it on Instagram as well as sometimes on Facebook, but more on Instagram, people trying to immediately, when I see crypto or I see Forex trading or I see immediately, NFTs. It's like, I am not following you. I am so sorry.
No,
not happening.
Not happening.
For me, it's just, I use that phrasing. I send it to everyone who pitches me on the first go. I virtually never hear from any of them ever again.
Of course not, because you're not a warm lead.
Right. Yeah. But on the other hand, it's polite. And if it helps them sort of, I want to help people advance their business.
Yeah.
None of these people are like malicious. They have a job to do.
Yeah.
Right. No. Or they're desperate. And in some cases, and like, they're just, let them, here.
Yeah.
Great. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Here's a scenario. Someone comes to you and they say, hey, I'm looking to grow my network on LinkedIn. Like, what's the fastest way to get? Because, LinkedIn has that sort of magic number. There are two magic numbers in LinkedIn, right? There's 500 and 1,200. At least the last Insight article that I saw. 500 is not 1,200 because you start showing up in searches much more regularly once you get to about 1,200 connections. Right? 500 just so that it hides how many connections you have.
That's interesting.
Right? I mean, if you go to and look someone up and they have like 92 connections,
right?
Yeah.
Like it looks weird.
Yeah.
Well, one of our students has 129, was it, John, or 126
Something
for our,
like
our
that.
strategic
What did you
video
tell him?
masters.
We're getting to 500.
Well, I told him that basically that he just needs to work on the LinkedIn because his bio isn't really there, and he's basically ignored LinkedIn, and potentially for him because he's in software and technical type of industry,
Yeah.
and he would actually connect well with, if not
Mhm.
CTOs, with their underlings. We just basically said, hey, this is just going to need to be a little bit more. You have to pay a little more attention to this rather than just focusing on YouTube. Because
Well,
I think
LinkedIn limits
his
you to, like,
particular
100
access.
people a week now, right?
Yeah.
100 invitations a week. So
Yeah.
here's the advice I give people. I've been doing it
Mhm.
for years. It works fabulously well.
Hmm.
You just do a search in the upper left, and you search
Mhm.
for the phrase in quotes talent acquisition,
Hmm.
which is like the newer name for recruiters, basically,
Yeah.
right? And I say, just click the connect button. Ignore all advice you've ever heard about, oh, look at
Mhm.
someone's profile and find something
Mhm.
in common. Don't worry about that. For talent acquisition, click on
Mhm.
search for that, click on people, so you can look about companies, and then just click connect, 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 connect. For the
Yeah.
first, whatever, 4 or 5 pages till you get to 100.
Right.
And I said, and then just leave it, and then next week do it. The thing is, those people are great because recruiters accept all incoming connection requests.
Yes.
They don't care. They don't read them. They just, because the bigger their network is, the easier their job becomes over time.
Yes.
So that's number one. And two, they already have massive networks, which means you now are connected by 1 degree of separation and can directly invite, or people can directly invite you
Mhm.
to connect in a massive network as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Tens of thousands of people.
I haven't had a person yet who's failed to get to 500, from any number to 500 in the absolute minimum amount of time, just by connecting with talent acquisition folks.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
500 is a magic number.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Is 4,200 a magic number?
It is not, I don't think.
Okay, sorry. I have no magic.
I only
I've
know
got
of
no
3
magic
magic
left.
numbers: 500, 1,200, and 30,000.
Okay. Oh, 30,000.
30,000 is supposedly the maximum size you can have of a network on LinkedIn.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Wow, that's interesting.
They may have changed that since the last time I looked, but
Yeah.
for quite a long time, and I think still maybe 30,000 is the biggest your network can get.
So since my population on Coronado Island is like 26,000, I could connect with everybody on the island at some point.
And max out your LinkedIn.
And
Just
max
max
it.
out LinkedIn.
Also, no one really knows how many invitations you're allowed
Yeah.
to send.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, I've been on LinkedIn from its very, very, very earliest days. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't even 90 days old when
Right.
I joined LinkedIn. And I've never run out of invitations.
Interesting.
Ever. And I've invited a lot of people.
Well, when you knock on the door of 30K, let us know. And keep us
Yeah,
an
I
update.
don't think I'll ever get to 30K, but I
Okay.
can't think of a reason to get to 30K. When I got to 3,000, I couldn't think of a reason to get to 4,000. When I got to 5,000, I couldn't think of a reason to get to 6,000.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
keeps
here
growing.
we are.
And that's the thing, right? The bigger it gets, the bigger it gets.
Yeah.
And how's your company page doing? Because 150 was the magic number that we.
Yeah, I looked at that yesterday. Like, it's I forget. I don't know how many are on that, but it was coming up on 300.
Great. Wow.
Yeah.
Almost doubled.
And I haven't invited anyone from after that first week.
Right.
I should
That's
just go
so
ahead
cool.
and invite everybody, like 100 or so. I think it gives you 100.
Can you send 100 invitations for your company page every week?
Yeah.
You could, yeah.
People do.
That's different than connection requests, yeah.
Yeah, that would be really
Yeah.
interesting.
I see those all the time and decline them.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just see people inviting me to events, and there's so many events. I mean, I would be awake. I'm doing
Yeah.
events 24/7 at this point. I just can't. No, not happening. So,
Yeah.
so I'm really curious about I always wonder about what is the right social media platform for the right person, and it's LinkedIn. I guess in the whole B2B world, LinkedIn is your social media platform of choice. But I do see a certain amount of overlap sometimes with like Instagram and LinkedIn, or some place where people are scrolling through and where they are, even surprisingly, potentially even between TikTok and LinkedIn. Because there are subgroups now on TikTok for short form video. There are people, there's the 50 plus hashtag or the over 60 hashtag. And the fastest growing population on TikTok is now 55 plus years of age. So there are there is a potential for reaching people in maybe a more personalized level elsewhere, and kind of fleshing out your personality on LinkedIn.
To me, it
by
comes down
linking
to
another
where do
person up.
people expect to find you, like, or
Right.
like, where do people expect you to be? And
Yeah.
I don't mean that. I mean that in the most visceral sense.
Right.
Like, I would not expect a local law firm to
Mhm.
show up in my TikTok feed. Like, I don't go to
But,
TikTok to
but
find
I
lawyers.
can tell you one of the best chiropractors whom I know. Is it Juan Rivera? He has an office in Ecuador and an office in Indiana.
Mhm.
And he just has a massive following on TikTok. He shows exercises. He talks to people about nutrition. He talks about functional medicine, all this stuff, all in Spanish. And he has actually leveraged that platform for his local business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the attorneys, but that you've got me curious now. I want to go see if there are, divorce attorneys, bankruptcy
There
attorneys, personal injury.
there are various types of attorneys that like have videos, but I'm thinking specifically that's content creation. I'm specifically like that's content marketing. I'm thinking about like advertising and prospecting.
Oh, but the thing is, if you create enough content marketing, sometimes your ads are really just boosting your post or boosting your video with a call to action at the end.
Right.
So
to me, it's wherever your customer might go to search for you.
There you go.
That's where you would want to be.
Yeah. Although some would argue that you want, like Scott Olford, one of my friends, he argues for omnipresence, but only after you reach a certain level. Like when you're at like 7 figures and above and trying to scale, that's when he says you just want to be everywhere. So they always see you. So the frequency of somebody seeing you in and of itself builds trust.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a truism in advertising forever that you need like 7 touch points, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's more like, I think it's 13 now, and possibly even over 20,
But basically, people need to see you a lot before they'll like, okay, that's part of my world. That's not new to me or suspicious to me anymore.
And if they don't see you after you've had all this omnipresence, they wonder what's wrong. That can actually also, if you do like a social media detox and you just stop for a month, as some of my friends do, then when you come back, it even makes a bigger splash.
Yeah.
So, but most people don't want to take that risk of disappearing.
No. And I think, LinkedIn and YouTube, because so many businesses are using YouTube.
Yeah.
You gotta have that combination.
And you get the Google juice, and it's just like never ignore the Google juice.
No. Yeah. I mean, you can't not take advantage of the 1,800-pound gorilla.
It was 18. If we're going from 800 to 1,800, why don't you just go for 2 tons?
Or
1 ton. 1 ton is 2,000. Yeah, 1 ton.
Yeah.
With the 1 ton gorilla.
Yeah.
It sounds better with 1,800 probably.
Maybe.
Oh, but even when it all boils down to, we've been focusing, John and I have been focusing on more and more on short form video, which is basically anything 60 seconds or less.
Right.
And it's very challenging for a lot of people who are used to doing hour and a half long live streams or 45-minute videos or even 10, 15-minute videos to produce content that's 60 seconds or less. And for me, I'm just the opposite, which is I think in terms of 15-second commercials, and then it's hard for me to do a 10 to 15-minute video. And it's not so much I'm worried about running out of things to say. It's like, how do I maintain someone's attention for a full 10 to 15 minutes without seeing the views dropping off? So,
and even though I tend to like longer video, I mean, I even admit short video makes sense because you get the benefit of the watch time.
Well, and we started with short video to a great extent from working a commercial for a mutual client.
Right.
And we did a 30-second, a 60-second, but I'll tell you, with all the material and all the copy that was in there, we never really could pull it off in 15 seconds.
Pull it 15. We could get it down to like maybe 20 seconds, but that was
it just never went under 15 because there was just too much stuff that needed to be said in order to get the message across as to why their product was so good.
But 30
that was
seconds,
strictly commercial.
Make a point about that.
I bet we could do I mean, like, we've never done, other than this show, we've never done any video together, right? And but I bet even like separately, you could just cycle through kind of like the 4 main emotional selling points and just keep making, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm the safe choice. I'm the new choice. I'm the easy choice, like the easy way to get what you want, or I'm the way to have like, I'm the way to do the most, get the most,
Right.
have the biggest impact, right?
Right.
And you can just like cycle through each of those 4, doing one per video, and then go back and do it the same 4 again, and then go back and do the same 4 again.
You could.
Yeah.
We have a John and I have a mutual friend. Who is a marriage counselor, and he's in Florida. He's almost 80. It's really something, but he's just swamped with stuff. And what he does, he recycles the same sort of message over and over again. He has like about a dozen messages, but he does them in different venues with slightly different language. And it's fascinating. He's hundreds of thousands of people not only following him, but thousands of people want the one-on-one coaching that he does. And now he's had to move into group coaching because he's too busy to do one-on-ones.
Yeah,
but that's all on TikTok, on TikTok. So there's a professional who's built his business with short form video.
And then we've got another one on YouTube that we've been watching that's kind of similar and has a very straightforward approach to, producing video and then moving on and producing, your text and everything else from the original videos. And she's fantastic, Mary.
Oh, Sister Mary.
Yeah, right.
Sister Mary Agnes, who's really not a nun. She's not a sister at all. When anybody with the name Mary Agnes, it just sounds like she should be working in a Catholic girls' school.
Probably. But she,
to me, at least.
she's so good at that because the messaging is right on track, right? Perfect every time.
Yeah. I was really impressed with her.
She was too.
So I mean, and so you can find there's so many people leveraging video right now, but we said it was either 83 or 85% of all internet traffic this year is video, and it probably is the easiest way to connect with people other than face to face. It probably is the easiest one because you'll get all the intangibles, not body language, that type of thing.
Do you remember this was like several weeks ago when Dr. V, when we did the personal injury lawyers for Website Wednesday?
Oh yeah.
And like they'd gone through the trouble. One of these firms had gone through the trouble. God, like we spent almost the entire time talking about how to fix what this firm was doing. Right? They're down in San Diego, I think of that.
Yeah.
They'd hired like a video crew to come and everything, and not once did any of the lawyers look at the camera.
Never.
They were always like looking
Never.
Up.
It was like these poses, like you were like Napoleon.
Right?
Like
and they never want to do video. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because they're afraid of what they're going to say or they're afraid they're going to say something.
But I mean, the fact that you don't look at the camera, and the whole point as a person, I mean, this is a very tiny firm. It had 2 lawyers and a secretary, right?
With a combined experience of 65 years.
Yeah. And like not once did they try to engender trust by letting anyone watching the video, like even see their full face.
Right.
And
but it's
I think
funny.
what I said, Dr. V, at the time was that of all of the potential weapons of financial mass destruction you could invite into your life, an untrustworthy lawyer is number 1 on that list.
Oh, for sure.
And yet these guys, for whatever reason, they thought it was more dignified and professional to like look off and have like a 3/4 profile instead of just looking at the camera.
I think I'm ready to name it the statue syndrome. Like you're posing for a statue or a bust and looking off into the distance into a brand new future and never making eye contact with anyone because somehow you are so lofty and untouchable and that you're far superior to any of your clients, and that's not going to work.
No, not at all. But the video definitely helps you stand out because there are a lot of attorneys very successfully using video. Yeah. And getting themselves tons and tons of clients.
But just think about all the commercials you'd see on late night TV. Have you been injured in an accident? Or in San Diego, we've got there's a bunch of firms that are just specializing in motorcycle accidents because there's so many motorcycles on the road. Yeah. And that's the niche within the niche, which I think is really amazing. And I was told by an attorney years ago, one of my personal attorneys, she said she was in a big law firm. And she said, we take on all these personal injury cases and this and that, everything else. But she says, we don't make a ton of money on the personal injury cases. She says, but in the end, it's the wrongful death suit that we're after. Because there's going to be one in maybe 5,000 or 10,000 cases that will fund the firm for the entire year.
Sure.
So it's a numbers
Did I ever tell you guys about the story? It's a true story. The story about the horror movie question. I think I did, right?
I don't know. No. I keep thinking of the horse lady rather
as
than
I'm working through the as I'm working through the prospecting thing that I'm creating for
Yeah, yeah.
fractional CMOs
Yeah.
and other
Yeah, yeah.
marketers, and like how to find customer stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, so you guys know that dating sites like OkCupid and Plenty of Fish and Mesh, like all these, they're not like founded by romantics. They're basically
No.
founded by mathematicians,
Right.
right? Or else they'll have one or more really top-notch mathematician as part of the executive team, because it's basically
The algo
it's
guys.
it's a giant math problem, is all
Yeah.
it is, right?
Yeah.
Matching people. Tinder sort of gets
Everything is
around
really-
it by just like having everyone swipe, but for the rest of them, they could recommend people.
Mhm.
So, and so I don't remember which one it was, but one of them had like a group of mathematicians, I think out of Harvard, had started the company. So I don't know which one, but it was either Plenty of Fish or OkCupid. I'm like very, very sure it's one of those. And they have this really interesting blog on the math of dating sites.
Huh.
And they have most dating sites, not Tinder, but most of them will have like a questionnaire of
Sure.
X number of questions up to like 100. eHarmony, I think, was famous for it's like 99
Yeah.
questions or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the idea is like you answer all the questions online, and then like it helps them match you with people who are going to be compatible.
Right.
Mhm.
So one of these other firms had a very similar setup. And over time, looking at the data, and the nice part about big dating sites is they have millions of data sets, right? They have billions of data sets from millions of people, I should say. They realized that there was an anomaly in the questions, in that where they were very confident with they could match someone to like 93 or so % compatibility with someone else if
Mhm.
someone filled out the entire quiz. They could get to 87, 88, 89% with just one question.
Really?
Yeah. And the question is, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1, I hate them. 5, I'm fanatical about them. How do you feel about horror movies?
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't matter what your answer is, or even
Yeah.
what the other person's answer is. All that matters is you have the same answer. You're
Mm.
both
Wow.
4s, you're both 2s, you're both 5s, you're both 1s, whatever, right?
Wow.
For whatever reason, horror movies have strong enough, people have strong enough opinions about them that they actively avoid them, or they actively seek them out, or it's on
Uh-huh.
TV and I'll just watch
Yeah, I
it,
can see
right?
them being polarizing.
Yeah,
So
the
if you think
yeah,
about
that's
your own
interesting.
relationships, your
Yeah,
own
yeah,
long-term
yeah.
relationships, you and the other person almost
Oh.
certainly have the same taste in horror movies.
My
Or
wife and
the-
I hate them.
Yeah,
So that's why we're compatible.
We used
I
to
guess.
have a horror movie night
Yeah.
at work. But hey, I wanted to mention something. Catherine brought up an interesting point. I don't know how I feel about
Yeah.
it. But she said it's an interview talking about the attorneys, I think.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
It's an interview tactic. The thought is that you're talking to the interviewer off camera.
Right.
I'm not saying it's right, but they're probably directed to look off camera.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Yeah.
They hired a professional crew, and that was
I haven't really
that,
seen
but it was
that.
terrible. No copywriter would have told them to do
No,
that.
this is
No.
more of a
Copywriter said,
cinematic. This
Talk
is
to
a
your audience.
Yeah.
this is a
totally different
cinematic
thing.
choice. They're trying
Yeah,
to
it's
get
not
all
a
fancy.
documentary,
Yeah.
right? It's you trying to like convince someone to take action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes it's not that they're trying to get all fancy. I'm not
Yeah.
really clear what they're trying to pull off with this. It's
Well,
They're trying to get paid. They're trying to get
Your
paid.
question.
I know
They're
that.
trying to get paid for the video.
Yeah, that's all. They're trying to
Yeah,
get
maybe.
recommended for the next gig.
Yeah, maybe.
So, yeah.
Although I do agree that that is a tactic. I don't think that's what's happening in this case.
No,
For
no, it's just-
prospecting, I'm
I
trying to
think
figure
you're
out the
fine with that
concept
being in this case.
that I can help people figure out. Like, if they can figure out what the equivalent of the horror movie question is
well,
for
you
what
know,
they sell,
Yeah.
that's powerful.
this
Mm-hmm.
89% thing that you mentioned, or 87%. It reminds me of something. There's an instrument out there called the REED, REED, honesty test.
Mhm.
And there's one question in there that is the most important question. And I'll just let you know what it is, just because most of you are never going to take the REED honesty test. And it's a true-false question. And the question is, I always tell the truth. The person who says yes is the dishonest one.
Well, yeah.
Well, of course.
But I mean, it's the most powerful question in like 100 questions.
Yeah.
I
Well,
always tell the truth.
Yeah, I think from a sales and prospecting point of view, if you could figure out what your equivalent of the horror movie question is,
Yeah.
so that you could have everyone who doesn't apply self-terminate,
Mm.
and the people who are going to be fanatic about it like align with you, that's a very powerful prospective selling option.
Should we use the term talent acquisition mathematician so that we can create our own
There you go.
combo? We're looking for a mathematician to help us. But yeah, well,
All right, we've gone over a bit, I think.
No, we
from
have.
our
Okay,
30
I
minutes.
there's so much bright light here. I can't even tell what your faces look like at this point.
My face looks like it did last week and every other
Okay.
day since I was 20,
It hasn't
Gotcha.
changed.
which was not yesterday.
All right. I just have a lot of bright white clouds around
Yeah.
me here. So.
All right, so there won't be a show on Thursday because of traveling and stuff. But and Dr. V, I think you're traveling tomorrow. But
I'm traveling tomorrow. Yes,
But I'm
So-
here.
John and I will be here to do Website Wednesday again.
Woohoo.
I was going
I
to try
have
to
an
do it from.
idea for Website.
Yeah, you have an
Wednesday.
idea? Oh, good.
Yes, I
I
don't.
have to watch the replay.
I think we find
You want to
a
rewrite my website?
review or aggregator type site.
John's website. John's website. That would
Oh,
be
we don't want to
great.
do your website.
Why not?
I wouldn't even want to do my website.
He got rid of the creepy. Well, you went after my website.
You asked me to go after your
Well,
website.
I did ask for it. So.
And it was on a Website Wednesday. So it's like, okay, well, I can't turn down a request. It looks like I'm shying away from something. But
You're
this
like
is
the
the day
you're like
before
the
Website
DJ
Wednesday.
at the
I
wedding.
can
who-
absolutely say, but I think we look for a review type
Yeah.
site, like a place
Yeah.
where people go to find reviews. You know what I mean by an aggregator site? Like basically think of Amazon third-party sellers, where
so it's
they
not
come
like
in and they write the
Trivago- it's not like-
description.
I
They
think
write the
Google
description for
Docs.
their product, and then but it's on someone else's platform. I think we want to let's see if we can find like a website with like product descriptions. There's not much we can do about the reviews. Individuals are going to write whatever review they want.
Do you
Who am
still
I to tell
want them way, way back, or do you want somebody that's a decent site?
It's not like a travel site like Trivago where you'll have Expedia and all these other sites
Yeah,
Right.
aggregated.
there's a lot of great deal sites and stuff. Like Brad's Deals, and
Oh, you know what we might
Yeah,
try?
deals
Yep.
would be
it
interesting.
might be fun.
Deals,
to-
yeah, Groupon,
somebody
that
that's got a
kind of
good
stuff.
site.
Except those guys usually have like professional copywriters writing that.
Mm.
Yeah, but
But we
this
can also try Etsy. We've never done Etsy, and I bet
Etsy would be
I've never been to Etsy,
fantastic.
but a lot of people like write their own product descriptions on
Oh, that'd
Etsy.
be
Etsy would
cool.
be awesome. In fact,
do that.
my niece who just got married last Friday, she was sending her bouquet to somebody on Etsy in Kentucky or Tennessee or Kentucky because she loved what they had done on Etsy. The only problem is I think those flowers are going to be pretty wilted by the time they get there, but they get flattened and dried and
They
framed
do,
anyway.
it
But
doesn't-
she loved the description and the look. And I'm willing to bet the description is what sold her.
Mm.
Very interesting. Etsy.
I'm
Yeah,
sure the
Etsy.
description is what's sold there.
Etsy.
Although it is hard. That used to be a thing that you could find somebody that did that locally, and now that's much harder to do.
Yeah.
So
we
let's
really
take a
tried.
look at Etsy and
Etsy.
see if there's and see
Yeah.
how we might help some people.
Do you want me to
And-
send one of our Etsy listings also?
Sure.
Send it to John. Don't send it to me. I don't want
I'll
to be
send
able
it to
see ahead
John.
of-
I'll send it to
Toss it
John.
up, or just toss it up on the.
Throw it
No, I don't want to be able. I don't want the opportunity to see it ahead of time.
Well, I don't know. Wait, I might have delisted it now that I think about it because they.
But either way, let's go take a look at Etsy, a site
Alright,
I've never
Etsy's
bought
good.
anything from,
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that. I think
and
that'd
see
be
if we
fun.
can help some people like sell more stuff.
Yeah.
CC.
I think that'd be
Etsy.
cool. Let's do it.
Etsy. CC.
All right, that's it for today. Then we're back tomorrow for Website Wednesday.
Some of us.
All
My
right.
least favorite day of the week,
My favorite day of the week.
and your favorite day of the week.
I know. I know.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for your questions and comments.
Thanks very much. See ya. Bye.